Okay, hello. My name is Christophe Sterckx. I will guide you through my final projects that I built for this course. First, I will give you the context. So the goal is here to give a tool for for health insurance companies that received a lot of paper and that they would like to digitalize. This flow. Um, so I will give you the user journey that I want to implement in my application. So let's assume we have an end client, an end user that has had some consultation or some medical healthcare advice. At the end of this meeting, he will receive some paper like reimbursement paper or a medical attestation, generic medical paper or whatever. Instead of sending these documents through the postal service to the medical health insurance, you will now have the possibility to go and navigate to my website or the website of the insurance company, where we'll be able to digitize and upload his documents. Once this will be done, we will pass these documents through our AWS application that will receive it, that will extract all the text from it, whether it's handwritten or computer written texts. It will then analyze it through GenAI engine and summarize and classify it. And then once this is done, we will extract structurally all those text values, to pass through an email and then send it to the back office. So the back office team will have a shared mailbox that I configured through Amazon Workmail, and they will be able then to proceed their work, flag what has been treated or not. In terms of architecture, what I used for this project is as follow. So it's an AWS-based project where I used my default VPC associated with my accounts. The user will access a website that will be hosted through an EC2 instance, basically as we did in the course. Once he will upload his attestation, it will be stored in a S3 bucket. And I also configured this S3 buckets to call or to perform a couple of actions every time an event, a create document event is happening. The first thing that will happen is the text extraction. So the OCR of Amazon, so which is called text extracts, will read handwritten or computer-based text and pass it directly to the Lambda function that I configured in Python. And then three things will happen. The first one will be to summarize and classify the text through Amazon Bedrock. And there you will see that we have been using two different GenAI model. The first is Claude 2 from Anthropic, and the other one is the Amazon G1 texts from Amazon. Or yeah, everything that we will receive as an output of this treatment will be stored for logs and audit usage in a DynamoDB. And this summarized and structured answer from Bedrock will also be put in an email that will be dispatched to the back office mailbox, shared mailbox. I forget to say that here on the web server, as you know, I am passing documents from a front end to my S3 buckets, but I needed to implement a small Node.js backend with a JavaScript code to be allowed to call these components and pass properly my file. So I will now show you in real what it means. So first, this is my basic HTML page. This is the front end of the clients. It's a basic one, just to choose a file, open it, and then upload. I will not do it now. We will close by showing all the stuff. I have an EC2 instance that I configured as usual and as we did along the course with basic CPU. It's a name EMI micro instance. I have a public IPv4 IP. It's running, so yeah. I don't know what I said, but it's a T2 micro. Yeah. What is important is that the security groups I used is based on inbound rules allowing for SSH. I will show you right now, but also internets. So through the web browser, and the outbound rules are left by default to allow everything from everywhere. If I try to open this page, hopefully I will have the same as the one I just showed you, if everything is working fine. I didn't put an S because it's not an HTTPS but a HTTP page. Okay, so you see it's the same page I just showed you, which is proving that it's online and working well. I will now let's go and connect to the EC2 instance. So I will paste this code. I am using Visual Studio Code to connect to my instance. Let's exit and start back. Yeah. Okay. So I'm now connected to the EC2 instance where I have been storing my code for the front and back ends of the website. Let's have a look what we have there. So there's my medical attestation app folder where I placed my codes. So you see we have different stuff. There is the upload.html page, which is really the basic one I just showed you. Well, let's have a quick look. So the code is easy. HTML, the header, the title, and then a form where you have an input, a button, a submit button, but also an input type to select the file. I just restricted the file to PDF, JPG, PNG, JPEG. It's for demo purpose. We can make, well, we can put also doc, Excel, whatever, but here I wanted to restrict to that to make it easy. So nothing really complicated in the HTML codes. Voilà. Let's have a look at the app.js, where the code, the JavaScript code is a bit more complicated. So you see here that I've been using a couple of interesting stuff. I will go line by line, but quickly. So there is the S3 bucket object that I created. There, this is based on the upload.html page you see here. So that means that it will monitor and receive file from this page when an action is happening on this page. Here to request if request file. Yeah, here we are checking that we are really sending a file, and if not, of course, we put a message to say please nothing uploaded. In contrary, I just go here. If everything is happening well, you will see that there will be a small message on the HTML page to see that everything went well. So here are the parameters of my AWS buckets. You will see, I will show you that I created a bucket with this name, right? And that we aim to target this when we receive a file. So the HTML page will send the file through the form, and this this file will be passed through a bucket that we call medical attestation bucket online on the AWS. So if there is an error, you will see it there. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Yeah, of course, this Node.js app is running on the background of my EC2 and is constantly monitoring what happens on the HTTP 80 port, which is obviously normal. And here was the code, the JavaScript code to handle my front ends and pass it through AWS S3 buckets. Let's move back now to S3 buckets. Let's follow the flow of the applications. So, so it's easier to follow. Yes. Yeah. Before going to the S3 buckets, I would like to show you the EM configuration I've done to make this application work. I've been creating two rules mainly, one for the Lambda function and one for the EC2 instance that has to talk with an S3 bucket through Node.js and JavaScript. So you see here that as I associated the S3 EC2 role to my EC2 instance, that should be here, and that you should see under the security details. So S3 is there. And this role is basically using a permission policy that allows full access on all S3 operations. Obviously, that's how we pass. That's why, and that's required to pass all files from EC2 to S3. Another rule that I want to also explain is the Lambda medical attestation rule, which is associated to my Lambda function. I show it now, so we don't have to do it after when we go to the function itself. Here, as if you remember on the architecture, we have a Lambda function that is Python based and that is interacting with a couple of servers. So in AWS, if you want to be able to do so, you need to add the permission to a role and then associate the role to that. We see that we need textract, we see that we need DynamoDB, Bedrock, etc. And that's why if I go back to the role, you will see that I put. So the Bedrock is really for everything related to AI, DynamoDB for logs, S3 for the S3 buckets interactions. SCS is for the email flow. Textract, it's for the OCR, and Lambda basic execution rule is really a basic set of operation on Lambda function. So if we now move, just one second. Jen, tu peux vite venir mettre mon chargeur dans la prise et le connecter à mon ordinateur. Sorry, my battery is down, so I'm just asking some support to plug it. Il est sur la table là-bas. Voilà. So let's continue in the meantime. If I now go to the S3 module, which is it's CloudWatch, that's MongoDB, wait, my S3. Okay, anyway, I will reopen one S3. So if I go now to the S3 console, I will show you the bucket that I created. Which is called medical attestation bucket. We'll just zoom a bit. So you see here that I have already that I've been created this bucket. I have already done a lot of tests, as you can expect, but what I propose is that we start from scratch when we will make the demo. So I delete the object. It should be now empty after that. Okay, what I wanted to show you in this bucket is the on the permission sides, I blocked all public access because only the EC2 instance needs to have access to it when they pass the file from the front end to the backend and from the backend to the S3. Something that I wanted to show is the access control list. Yes, the owner. It's the account that can do everything. Bucket policy. It's on the property side. Yes. Yeah, on the event notification. So here it's an important one. Why? Because as you see, I created an event notification that will make some action when we receive or when the S3 bucket receive a file. So basically every time you receive the file, there will be an event that will be triggered from the S3. And it's important because this event is really the one that we call our Lambda function. So in the destination of the event, I say that I want a Lambda function to be called, and this Lambda function is this one. It's already there, but I can re-choose it. It's the one called process medical attestation. That is the one that I will show you now. I save the champ. Okay, so now let's directly go to the function itself that I created with the name process medical attestation. So as you see, it is triggered by an S3 bucket. And let's go directly to see what it does. So I will go through the codes now. So we import the key package to be able to work with AWS and also with JSON because all our events for AI interaction or with the other system are based on JSON. So the Lambda handler is of course the starting point of all functions and where the stuff are orchestrated. Again, you see that we will be interacting with the S3 buckets, Textracts, Bedrock SOS, and DynamoDB. I created a couple of environment variable just for the sake of clarity. So here you have the source email, the destination email, and the Dynamo table. Let me quickly show you inside configuration. So you just have to create those value. It's better to do it like that because if I want to change at some point, let's say the destination email, which is the back office mailbox, I just can do it from here without changing the code. So that's why I did that. So good practice in programming usually. Then, yes, we manage all the error. That's why we first try to capture the bucket name through the event. So we look inside the event structure, record first line, let's flag tag S3 bucket blah blah name. So we retrieve the name of the buckets that we just saw, and we retrieve the document key. Those two elements are the ones we need to proceed. If something is not working, we just raise an exception. So as I said, the first thing that's happening once we have identified the triggering buckets, it's to extract the text. So here there is nothing to configure inside Amazon Textract. Can have a quick look. Text extract service, you will see that it's explaining what is the service, how it's working, but there's nothing to configure or create except to add a security role that is allowing you to talk within. So Amazon extracts the bucket name, the document key. So I'm passing all the text I want, and I encapsulate the answer. So the result of extract detect documents, which will be the OCR inside my response. Exception is raised if it's not working, and then I can extract the text. Yes, so for everything that is passed inside the response and the blocks attributes, if the item is a line, then I will extract the text and put line by lines everything that I see, which will be the full text, obviously. And then when I have this raw text, let's say this raw extracted text, I can now use my Bedrock services to continue my summarization and classification. So as I said, first I want to summarize these texts that this raw text. I will call a function that I created, which is the summarize text bedrock, which will pass the bedrock instance that we created here, bedrock Poto 3 client, bedrock runtime. So that's our bedrock client and the extracted text that is here line by line. Let's see first what I do in summarized function. So the function is here, summarize text bedrock. First, I created a prompt, just like if I wanted to use any regular AI tool on the web, I have to prompt something. So here there is a structure that we need to use. That's you can have a look at the documentation, but it's basically saying that I am a human and the assistant is the module. That's a bit a special structure, but it has to work like this. I spent hours to configure this because there were a lot of error. So I'm asking him summarize this text, please, in max 2 lines. And I pass the text, which is the text that was here and which was passed through the extracted texts. So this extracted text should be summarized in 2 line maximum. Okay, so that's one value. Then I have to build a body value that will contain in the JSON format the prompt that we just discussed, the maximum number of tokens that I want. As you can expect, the bigger we use, the more it will consume resource, the more expensive. And also it's not, it can take more time, etc. The temperature is really the creativity of the engine. We can allow him to be much more wild in his answer or much more structured than to the points. The model that I will use for the summarization, as I said, is Anthropic Claude version 2. It's very important to specify it. And then those are basic parameter, accept content type, application JSON. I will show you now how we can use this Anthropic Claude v2. Contrary to Textract, here we have to do something. Is my Bedrock service. So you just log here on Bedrock. You don't have to, what you have to do is to subscribe to the AI model you want to use. So there's a lot of model. I will show you the model catalog. As you see, there's Amazon, Anthropic. There is, well, there is no OpenAI, by the way. That's probably because they don't want to work together. But there's also Mistral, which I know pretty well because, as you hear, I am French speaking, and Mistral is a French one that has been built here in Europe. Anyway, I decided to use Claude version 2. So I took this model. Yeah, that's the version 2. You see, this value, this model ID is really the one I used here in my codes. That should be exactly the same. So it's difficult because I'm recording on. Voilà. Yes, you have the maximum number of token, and what's really important that we really need to pay attention, there's the API request we need to use if we want to talk to this model. And you see, we have the model ID, the content type, the accept, the body with the prompt. And you see what I told you, human, hello, I would like hello world, and then answer from assistant. And then you see all the other parameters. So that's exactly what we have been doing here with those parameters. And when we are ready with that bundle of parameter, we need to pass them by calling the invoke model from the Bedrock client and store everything in the response variable. And when we receive this response, as it will be a JSON, we can structure and extract what we want from the body answer. What's interesting us is what's inside the completion variable of the answer. It will contain, as you can expect, the summary of the raw text I passed. So I return it here back to the calling function. Here in summary, it will be stored in a string in summary. And then I will use the classification function that I built to tell whether this raw text is a request for reimbursement or is just a generic medical document. So the classify Bedrock is really, it's based on Amazon Titan Text Express. It's another model that you can see. So I'm looking for, it's here. Always looks. I'm going back there. You will see the Amazon. It's not this one. It's the text one, G1. Something important, as I told you, we can use Bedrock models, but we have to do something. It's to request access to the model we want to use. For example, if I want to use Claude, I tick this box, and then I have to wait 2 or 3 minutes for the access to be granted, and then I have nothing else to do than calling it in my Lambda function, which is there or there. Voilà. So the classification was similarly to the summarization. You have to build a prompt, and you have to ask here, classify the following medical attestation as a generic note or reimbursement request. Then we invoke the model with all the parameters. It's not exactly the same as above, because each model has to receive inputs in a specific form, but it's more or less still the same. So once this is done, the function will do other stuff. So what will we do now? Voilà, the two functions here are being called. The summary and classification are being stored. And then I will take all of this value and send it by email. So I will use the SES email system. So to use the SES system, you need to have emails available. So what I did is that I created an organization that by using Amazon Workmail, I call it Medical Cert. And there inside this, I created two users, upload and back office. Upload is really representing the front end where the user is uploading his document. So that's really the client uploads. That's a generic one. And the shared mailbox is back office. So I can show you here. If I log with back office, that was a test. So I will delete this email. It will be easier when we will be testing. So that's really my back office mailbox where I will monitor for the email I will receive through my Lambda function. And what will I receive? So I will receive it to the destination SOS. So that's my environment variable to the back office email address. It will come from my source email, which is also another environment variable that I explained you. The subject will be a processed medical attestation. And inside the body, I want to see first the summary that I capture above, then the classification of the text. But I also would like to have the raw extracted text because an agent might want to see, might want to have more info or have a check. That was for the Lambda function. That was the IAM row. No, that was the bedrock identities. The DynamoDB we will see after. But what I wanted to show you is the SOS service that have been configured here. So what I had to do here to make sure that I could use this service is to register first my my domain that I created with Amazon Workmail. So I had to verify it. It was automatically done because it's a AWS service, so it's automatic. And here I had to log to my back office and upload mailbox to click on a link. Then my email were verified. So here nothing special. I propose now to make a demo, end-to-end flow. I will make the flow. I will show you the CloudWatch of the Lambda function, and we will see the mailbox, and also we can have a quick look at the DynamoDB. So I prepare three kind of attestation. So that's a computer written, a computer written one. Okay. Here I wrote down one, so it's a handwritten one, and this one. So 1, 2, 3, the 3 HW is handwritten. Medical 2, that's a reimbursement request, and the 1 is no reimbursement, it's just a generic patient report. So let's see if we can classify them properly. So I go on the website. I will choose first the first one, upload, metdoc1. Okay, file uploaded successfully. While I'm here, I will also pass the two order, so it will be easier to follow. And the third one, the handwritten one, I'll just show you. As uploaded. So now I expect, if I go back on my Lambda function, I expect stuff to have been triggered by the S3 buckets because I posted file here. Let's check it. So if I go in monitor, sometimes it's taking a few minutes to have the CloudWatch metrics to appear. Here I see the first one is already there, so it was yeah, it's the first one, so it's the medical attestation one. I open CloudWatch with that event, Yeah, no, all the other one are been passed here. So you see my first attestation was here. Okay, so the request was initialized, the Lambda function was called, and it was closed. Okay, then the second one, start and report, start and report. So the three documents have been passed here. Good news then. So if everything went well, the text tract was done, the Lambda function was called, the DynamoDB logs were stored. Where is the DynamoDB? So we can have a look here. So dashboard. So I go on my medical attestation logs DB, which I created for that. And then I will explore the table items. And you see my three documents were properly uploaded here. We have three classification. So the first one was indeed a generic medical note, so it was properly qualified. And here is the summary, medical, the two, etc. And the last one, which was the handwritten one, which is there. We will see in the email box, we will make a small analysis, but you see that all the logs are good. And finally, let's go to the, okay, you see in my mailbox, I received 3 emails. Okay, those were the 3 upload I sent. The first one was yeah, it was by John Doe. So the summary, you see that the big raw text here has been summarized in 2 lines. So the agent is very fast. So it's just a medical notes, generic medical notes. You just see the summary and the classification. So it's working well, good. The second one was the reimbursement request from Mary Smith. Everything is written there. And the summary is there. So it's, you see, it's very accurate. And it's even making the sum for us. They were 150 plus 45, and in the summary, everything was already there. So it's quite interesting. Huh? It's quite giving some business value classification. And let's see the handwritten one. So if you remember, the handwritten was this one. The style of my handwritten actions are specific. So dear, I would like to receive a reimbursement for the medical service I received at the St. Mary Hospital. There are small typos. The total amount is, so there is small typo, but the good news is that, and that's where I wanted to head, is that by taking this text and passing it through an AI engine, we are putting an extra layer that is improving the quality of the OCR, except for the words like my name, which has to be exactly letter by letter exact. But for the rest, you see that the engine has been processing and summarizing each better. So the level of quality is even better than the OCR. So here again, it's quite impressive, and we have generated some good value. So that was it. That was my end application. I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe at some points I might want to exploit it at my current client because I'm working as a IT consultant. Don't hesitate to call me if you want more information or send me a message.